ladies and gentlemen, to a quick broadcast of Jerusalem's Gate. I got a video to show you from I-24 News. If you haven't heard yet, China brokered a peace deal between long rivals Saudi Arabia and Iran. As you know, Saudi Arabia and Iran has been at war with each other through proxy in Yemen, which has been a bloody war. Well, the peace deal, the fact that a peace deal was brokered was great. Who brokered the deal is a sign that the United States is losing its grip on world affairs. China, never before in history has a country grown financially and militarily as fast as China is growing. And you've heard people warning about the strength of China and how fast they're growing economically and militarily. Now, in another decade, China will surpass the United States in military strength and financial strength. Some people say, well, our military budget is 4 times as high as China. Well, one thing you have to consider is that China can build things a lot cheaper than the United States can build things. Case in point, when you go to the store and you see something that's manufactured in the U.S. and you see something manufactured in China, the China price is like 4 times as cheap in a lot of cases as the product that's made in the United States. So you can't really go by that number. That's a misleading number. In the fact that China can build things a lot cheaper and make the penny stretch a lot further than the United States. China brokering this deal between Saudi Arabia and Iran is a sign, a clear sign and a clear indication that the United States is losing its grip. The United States, going back some time ago, started dabbling in some human rights atrocities, torture for instance. And the main thing is that the United States has departed from the Lord. And when you depart from the Lord, people like myself and many others, I'm not the only one, many others, and our founding fathers that built this country warned us what would happen if the United States ceased to be in a nation under God. We're losing our grip on the oil-rich East, our influence, and people has warned us. As recent as Ronald Reagan, he said, if we cease to be one nation under God, we will be one nation going under. That's a quote from Ronald Reagan. And the United States has to sound a trumpet to return back to the Lord. I got a video to show you this deal. All credit goes to I-24 News. But the fact that the peace deal is a good deal. It's peace between Iran and Saudi Arabia. Who brokered it is a sign that the United States is losing its grip and its influence, particularly in the East. And it all stems from departing from being a Christian country. Things like this will continue to happen, and you will see it increase in severity and frequency as it sounds from heaven. Remember, we love you. Here comes a video from I-24 News. Thank you for tuning in to Jerusalem's Gate. Here comes the video.
Friends, foes, or frenemies. In a surprise move, Saudi Arabia and Iran have agreed to renew diplomatic relations.
At the end of the talks, we reach a conclusion to start a new chapter after 7 years of breaking off the relations between the Islamic Republic of Iran and Saudi Arabia, considering the security and the future of the region, to prevent meddling from Western states and the Zionist regime in the region.
The agreement, brokered by China, comes after years of animosity, sometimes also referred to as the Middle Eastern Cold War, which fueled instability and conflict in the Middle East, with proxy wars stretching from Syria to Yemen, as well as disputes across the globe. The conflict has been waged on multiple levels over geopolitical, economic, and sectarian influence, exacerbated by religious differences, Iran being a largely Shia Muslim country, while Saudi Arabia sees itself as the leading Sunni Muslim power. Israel, which sees Iran as an existential threat and has been hoping for growing ties with Saudi Arabia, was reportedly caught off guard by the announcement, with former Defense Minister Benny Gantz calling it a concerning development. In Lebanon, the chief of internationally recognized terror group Hezbollah, Hassan Nasrallah, welcomed the renewed ties between the oil-rich Saudi Arabia and the Islamic Republic of Iran. The move could have significant implications for the Middle East and shows China's growing influence in the region. After hosting the talks, Beijing said the agreement is a diplomatic breakthrough and a victory for peace and dialogue. Meanwhile, the White House, whose relationship with both Riyadh and Tehran is complicated at best, welcomed the move and highlighted U.S. President Joe Biden's recent trip to the region as a reminder that the Americans still have a voice in the Middle East.
Look, we welcome any efforts to help end the war in Yemen and de-escalate tensions in the Middle East region. That is one of the reasons why the president, you saw him travel over the summer to have those conversations. De-escalation and diplomacy together with deterrence are key pillars of the policy that President Biden outlined during his visit in July in the region. So again, de-escalation, tensions in the Middle East clearly is a priority, and he welcomes that.
What this new agreement with China's support will mean not only for the region but also for the U.S. and Israel will have to be seen, but it could be a game changer.
I've always believed that we were put here for a reason, that there is a path, somehow a divine plan for all of us and for each one of us. And I've also always believed that America was set apart in a special way, that it was put here between the oceans to be found by a certain kind of people based on a quality that these people had, but that they came from every corner of the world. And a country then was created by men and women who came not for gold, but mainly in search of God. They would be free people, living under the law with faith in their Maker and in their future. It's been written that the most sublime figure in American history was George Washington on his knees in the snow at Valley Forge. He personified a people who knew that it was not enough to depend on their own courage and goodness, that they must also seek help from God, their Father and Preserver. Where did we begin to lose sight of that noble beginning, of our conviction that standards of right and wrong do exist and must be lived up to? Do we really think that we can have it both ways? That God will protect us in a time of crisis, even as we turn away from Him in our day-to-day life? It's time to realize, I think, that we need God more than He needs us.